Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 action film Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. The film is directed by Christopher McQuarrie and it stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Azai Morales, Pom Clementif, Henry Cherney, Holt McCauley, Nick Offerman and Shea Wingham. Right. Okay, this is the second part to Dead Reckoning, which was initially titled Dead Reckoning Part 1. And then they tried to distance themselves from having a Part 1 and a Part 2 because that Dead Reckoning Part 1, as brilliant as that film was, and I really enjoyed that, it didn't do comparatively to the budget as well as they wanted it to. So even though this essentially is Dead Reckoning Part 2, it's been renamed The Final Reckoning. And if reports are to be believed, this is Tom Cruise's final Mission Impossible film. Let's see if that's the case. So what do we get here? Well, if you remember in the last film, the big enemy this time round is artificial intelligence and something called the Entity. We learn about its threat in the last film. This time round, it really is going for it, this artificial intelligence. Its plan, basically, is to take over all of the planet's nuclear arsenals, one at a time, and then once it has done that, it will then release the rockets and wipe out humanity and start afresh, basically. That's what this AI wants to do. I mean, it's going full-on Terminator mode, really, this time round. So, Tom Cruise and his crew have got to basically get to the bottom of a sub that sank in 2012, I think it was, and it was actually a sub that Ethan Hunt was responsible for the sinking of in a previous movie. So he's got to get to this sub, he's got to get this code thing to match it with something else, the key that he's got, the crucifix key. Once whoever's got that then basically can control this entity. However, they don't want to control the entity. They want to basically trap the entity. So they come up with this elaborate plan that involves Ethan having to be at a certain place at an exact certain time to get picked up by a sub to take him to the sub that he's got to get this code from. His crew have got to then pick him up through the ice, and they've got to get this code and stop the entity, basically. However, you've got Azai Morales' character, Gabriel, who's got his own agenda. He wants to control the entity for himself, and then Ethan has got, essentially, to hope that the president, played by Angela Bassett, does not lose faith in her and presses the button to end the world, basically. Right, what are my thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Whew, that took some explaining, didn't it? And that, I suppose, is the biggest problem that we have with this film. It's got so much to tie off from the last film that it kind of bogs itself down a little bit. It gets a little bit messy with plot devices here, there, and everywhere. And then they introduce more. You know, we learn who, for example, Shea Wingham's character, who's been chasing him for the last couple of films, so relentlessly chasing him. We learn why in this film he's chasing him. And I like how they tie his character in and who he actually is. I like it. It works. But I'm not sure it's another plot device that the film needed. Similarly, we also get to meet again Rolf Saxon's character, William Donlow, from the original Mission Impossible film. He has quite a large part to play in this film. And again, I love the fact that they're tying into previous films. It works. However, I'm not sure the film needed another plot line. So it's already a bit bogged down, a little bit messy, and they add more in there, sort of thing. So while I think this film kind of does get itself in a bit of a mess in regards to the narrative, it pulls through mainly because the cast are so great, including Cruz, obviously. I mean, he is exceptional in these type of roles. He is a proper movie star. He puts himself out there. He, we all know the stunt work that he does here with the Mission Impossible films. It's incredible, and he deserves a lot of respect for that. And partially, I think what he does has helped the new stunt category to be accepted into the Oscars next year. Not just him, there's other people have been crying out for it for years, but I suspect Tom Cruise has been a massive advocate of it. And knowing the Oscars and knowing how much they like to kiss ass, no doubt Tom Cruise will probably win the Oscar for the best stunt next year for his plane thing here. And don't get me wrong, it's a very impressive stunt. But I'm sure there are probably stuntmen out there that have been doing it for like over 20 years, if not longer, who have done more impressive stunts, if you like. The only reason it will get nominated is because Tom Cruise is doing it. Anyway, I digress. So the action here is on point. It takes a little bit to get going. There is a death fairly early on in the film that means a lot to Ethan, sort of thing. There is a definite, you really sense the threat here in this film. It's Armageddon, basically, if he doesn't get this right, Ethan. And you really do get that sense from the film. But it doesn't feel... I remember there's this point in the film where he's going down to this sub to get this code. And it's all great underwater sequences and everything, don't get me wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't remember a great deal of action in this. Am I wrong? And then, no, there wasn't. Obviously there is bits and pieces, but it's not like one of the Mission Impossibles where it's literally relentless action. Now, you're either going to like that or you're not. I actually don't mind it. I think they did take the time to try and tell a story here, like a real, like, old-fashioned Cold War type story with some real espionage going on, and taking massive risks and doing proper spy stuff, this, that, and the other. But I suppose he has kind of delivered with this franchise, some of the most impressive action sequences that we've ever seen. And I think this film arguably comes up a little bit short in that department. But as a final send-off, I suppose, I think it works okay. I think the problem that they have with this film is, like I say, I think they backed themselves into a corner to make the last film and this film parts 1 and 2. I think if they'd have just made a standalone film for the last one and made this a standalone film, but maybe followed a similar theme or a similar antagonist sort of thing, then it probably would have worked better. I think because of what they did in the last film, it kind of forced their hand in this film to do certain things and go certain directions, and it probably kind of hampered them in some of the creative freedom that perhaps they have enjoyed and experienced in previous franchises and previous entries. But it's still a brilliant Mission Impossible film. It's very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I found the action entertaining when you got it. I thought, the characters all did well. I thought the real, world Armageddon threat worked quite well, and this whole AI threat, the entity, kind of feels quite relevant these days. So yeah, I had a good time with this one. I suspect it's probably going to be a little bit Marmite for some people, but I think if you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll appreciate what they've tried to do with this, and I am certainly a fan of the franchise. So thanks for checking out this review, guys. I will see you on the next review very, very soon.